at the Moncton Coliseum. What do we have sportsman shows for? Well, it's a kickstart to the season, for one. So happens this year we're falling just about 2 weeks before our season really starts to open on April 15th here in New Brunswick for the southern portion of the province. But we have to be out there representing ourselves as anglers, our clubs, our associations, and in a lot of cases, the sponsors that go along with these organizations. Where else can I get the association that I'm on the board of directors for, the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association? Where else am I going to get our association sponsors in front of, I don't know the exact numbers through the door, but let's say 10 to 15,000 people, over a couple days? I know that may sound tiny to you folks that are listening to this from, Ontario and some of the bigger regions, but I'm not positive on those numbers. Those are just a guess on my part. But you do have to remember, this is New Brunswick. We are a smaller region. But 10 to 15,000 people is not a small number. It may be small compared to other jurisdictions, but it's still not a small number. So I keep coming back to fishing being a business. Yes, it's a hobby, it's a sport, but to all these companies, at the end of the day, whether they're directly in the fishing industry, they are, equipment, apparel, supplies, then yes, they're looking for direct sales to the angler. But then our sponsors that get involved, vehicles, beverages, I could list them off, but I'd be here all day. They don't sponsor tournaments for fun. It's advertising. It's business. But that doesn't mean that we can't go out to these sportsman shows, outdoor shows, whatever you want to call them, and have fun. Just so happens that this year I'm responsible for staffing and organizing the booth for the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association. So what's going to happen? What can you expect to see at a booth for a competitive angling series? Well, number one, you're going to get a chance to meet some competitive anglers, talk to them. If you're on the fence about whether or not this is something that's for you, come on out. I can tell you, for example, on the opening day of the show in Moncton, April 1st, from noon till 4:30 in the afternoon, the NBSFA is proud to say that our defending champions are going to be representing us as the show opens. They will be on site, showing off their hardware from last season, answering any questions that people have. Later that day, there's going to be a number of competitive anglers, including myself, Keith Cormier, who went and competed in the Berkeley B1 in Quebec last year. That's just on Friday. Marcel Lavallee, another one of the anglers from our series. And then we're going to have something a little different than some clubs, circuits have. My wife is going to be there. My wife is going to be working with us because, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, and as I mentioned in the intro to this episode, without family support, this doesn't happen. It doesn't matter if you're chasing this dream as a passion and wanting to find a way to make a living in the industry, or if you're a weekend warrior. Without family support, it doesn't happen. Because there's just too much time involved and there's too much money involved. So if any of you are in the Moncton area on the 1st or the 2nd, because my wife will actually be around both days, if you have a spouse, girlfriend, significant other that is curious about what it's like to be on the home side of tournament angling, feel free to come on out. I'll tell you right now, my wife's not gonna lie, she's not gonna sugarcoat it. She's gonna be honest. So if you have a question, come on out, feel free to ask her. On top of that, the other thing that we are going to be offering, tips, tricks, a little bit of advice. We'll have a little bit of gear there to show you how to rig up certain baits, tie certain knots, whether that be fishing line knots or boating knots. On Saturday, we have a gentleman that's going to be there with us that's actually worked at sea years ago, so he's very proficient with boating knots on top of tying different knots in your fishing line. We are going to be there to educate people, to educate them about the benefits of catch and release. This is what we do as anglers. This is all public relations for our sponsors, for our association, for ourselves. That's what show season is all about. You know, yes, there's businesses there. For them, it's about selling merchandise. But we are there as a non-profit group, as a group of tournament anglers, looking to promote our sport and our sponsors. So why not come out? Come pay us a visit. We'd be happy to see you. We'd be happy to spend time talking to you. We're going to have some stuff on display from some of our sponsors. I can't make any formal announcements yet about exactly what's going to be on display because we're still waiting for a couple certain products to arrive from our sponsors, so I don't want to speak out of turn and tell you they're going to be there when they're not. But let's just say that as long as everything gets delivered on time, it's going to be something in the booth worth coming to see. And I know this means nothing to anybody that's out from Ontario, Quebec, or anywhere else across Canada, or maybe in the US that's listening to this. But there's a lot of work that goes into these shows, and if you've never actually worked one yourself, every now and then just kind of stand back a little bit and watch what goes on behind the scenes. You know, with an association like ours, and we're only putting in a small display, 10 by 20 foot booth. I've been working for the last month organizing the staffing, making arrangements with the promotion company that's putting on the show. You know, getting our insurance lined up, getting them our staffing lists, getting everything in place. This is something now, yes, I haven't been a full-time job for a month, but I do have a job that I have to work 5 or 6 days a week. But this is something that takes a lot of time. The majority of the booths, the staff are there. If it's a business, yes, they're there being paid. But in our case, all our staff is volunteer. They're taking time out of their own weekends to come and man that booth for us. And they deserve a huge pat on the back for stepping up and doing what their association, what their club needs them to do. This goes back to what I talked about last week or the week before. Your responsibilities, being a good member of your club, your association, whatever title, whatever name is put on your group. It can't all be done by 1 or 2 or 3 people. There has to be a group effort. There has to be a team effort. So if you're a part of an organization like this, make sure that you're a part of that team. Don't expect everybody else to do the work for you. Just do your share, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I don't want to keep rambling about this because, like I said, you know, me talking about the Moncton show, the New Brunswick Sportsman show, doesn't mean a whole lot to anybody that's listening from outside of this region. But it doesn't matter whether it's the New Brunswick show, a Halifax show or a show in Ontario or a show down in the US somewhere. It's the same type of work, the same type of dedication from people that gets put into putting them on. So the masses can come out, get some deals on some new gear, and really kickstart their season. So when you see people, especially at the non-profit booths, the non-profit displays, just have a little appreciation for the fact that they're there donating their time so you guys have a good show to come see. All that being said, ladies and gentlemen, open water is pretty much here. I'm hearing the same from across most parts of the country, that we've had a fairly mild winter coming into a fairly mild spring early on. Be safe out there. I did hear tell of a tragic death down in Massachusetts earlier, within the past week. I just had the opportunity to glance quickly at the article. A young man out kayak fishing early season, found some open water, didn't have a PFD on. Don't start your season out that way, folks. The same as you diehards that are still out searching for hard water. Keep your vehicles off it. Let's stay safe. As I've said before, doesn't matter whether you're doing it for a living or you're doing it for fun. The most important thing is that we all go home at the end of the day. So I hate to wrap the show up on a very somber note like that, but it's got to be said, folks. It is, as I've said before, it's just fishing. It's not worth your life. You won't find too many people any more passionate about it than me. But at the end of the day, it's not worth my life. It's not worth yours either. So stay safe out there, folks. PFDs all the way around. Yes, I know they get uncomfortable sometimes, but there's so many different ones on the market now. Auto inflation, whatever the case may be, you do have options. So comfort is really not an excuse. They're not the old rings that go around your neck. You've got options. Stay safe, have fun. You know, the season's just getting ready to kick off. Let's not see people ending their season on a tragic, tragic note at any time of the year, but especially this early on. You know, we don't want to see it at any time, but it just puts a damper on every going in this early. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Stay safe out there in life and on the water. Set the hook and keep those lines tight. Thanks again. This has been this week's episode of NB Bassin.